For the last 15 years, we have spent 2 to 3 months a year touring Europe, initially by motorcycle and tent, then with a car and tent. We then did several tours with a little GoPod, and for the last 4 years we have been touring with the van we currently own. And over these years we have seen and done things that honestly we thought that people like us would only ever experience through watching travel documentaries. It has been incredible. And the thing is, we're not even state pension age.
No.
Yeah. We might look at it, but we're not. And we don't have company pensions or public sector pensions. We have not downsized a house. We have no inheritance. Nothing like that. But we haven't worked in the last 8 or 9 years either.
No, that's right.
Deliberately. And I thought in this video would maybe explain how we've been able to do that. Not because I think MDL should do the same or could do the same. I hope that nobody has to do it the way we did it.
Oh, hope not.
But it is a tale of never giving up.
That's right.
Isn't it? Never giving up. And in order to tell our little tale, we're heading down through Oban here, down the Kintyre Peninsula to Campbeltown where we grew up. Because we honestly think if we hadn't grown up in that town, we'd have found it far harder to deal with what we had to deal with. We've been all over Europe, haven't we? And I've worked in several parts of the world, many parts of the world. And I still get a massive kick coming down this road. I mean, this is Oban just now. Tarbert my way.
Yep.
35 minutes to home.
Yep.
Actually, we left Campbeltown 42 years ago, didn't we?
Yep.
But it's still home.
Still home.
And it always will be. So for the last few years when we've come down here to Campbeltown, we've gone to the Macrahanish campsite, which is about 5 miles west of Campbeltown. But this time we're going to the campsite at Peniva, which is about 5 miles east. Because we haven't been there for a long time. There's a couple of things there we want to see again, isn't there? Yeah. And the reason we wanted to come to this wee site in particular is because back in the 1970s my grandfather built this little toilet block and this extension onto the campsite owner's house, which was a thriving, fantastic little bar back in its day. And at the end of the day it's just a lovely place to be. That's Isle of Arran over there in the distance. And I forgot to mention, you used to work in that bar, didn't you, Rona?
Yeah, a couple of nights a week.
Yeah, what, very early 80s?
I think the early 80s, yeah.
So we knew a lot of people in this village as well, didn't we?
Yep.
And the bus stop was just along the road here. Perfect. Okay, first of all, apologies. Normally I'd be zooming about trying to make a video really interesting, but I've broken my toe, so can't really do that. But I've come here, quite scenic. The Var Islands over there, Campbeltown Loch behind us, and Campbelltown's over there. We got the bus in from Peniva to Campbeltown. The first day, an old friend who we've not seen for 34 years stopped and gave us a lift into town. This morning, 2 people, a man and a lady, who we have never met in our lives before, stopped and gave us a lift in. It's just that kind of town. People here aren't just willing to give you a hand, they're looking to give you a hand, if I can put it that way. And what helped us during these 10 difficult years we had was the spirit here, the things we learned here and we took with us, both up to Inverness and around the world in my case, you know. Now it's a town that's had its ups and downs, no doubt. It's seen a lot of commerce over the years, you know, from the herring boom to whisky. It's had a shipyard, it's had RAF Macrahanish out there, all sorts of stuff. And what it means here, there's a real depth of knowledge and experience, life experience, I don't think you would get anywhere else in a place of this size, yeah? It's quite cosmopolitan, really, you know? And one of the things that I've always remembered is when people here talk about a problem, they've had a problem or there's a problem in the town, quite often they'll end talking about that problem by saying, oh, well, that's just the way it is. You've just got to batter on. And that's stuck with me all my life, this batter on. I think it should be in the coat of arms here, batter on. Stuck with me all my life. It's been my belief that if you've got a problem or something bad's happened to you, you give yourself a little bit of time to process it, feel sorry for yourself perhaps a little bit, and then you get your head up and you look around for the people who are less lucky than you work the problem, you mitigate the damage, and you look for that silver lining. You batter on, because the silver lining's always there. And that's what carried us through this 10 years, right? So when we hit about 40, we were living up in Inverness, had been there some time. I was working in the fabrication yards that built the big oil platforms. I would describe that as earning a good wage. Nobody was getting rich, you know, but we're earning a good wage, no doubt. We had 3 small kids and we had a mortgage that would actually only been able to get because of the high interest rates at that time, this into the early 80s. So the building societies were desperate to lend money on the 25-year endowment mortgages, which were what you could get, which meant the house builders were throwing up houses everywhere, which meant at one point the deposits came down to about a week's wages, and that's what we paid, you know. But you ended up with a small house with a pretty big mortgage, you know. And so at this time, just before we hit 40, these fabrication yards were closing down, yeah, going to be made redundant. But I wasn't too worried because the company I worked for was offering me work in 2 other parts of the world, both quite acceptable, even with a young family, you know. But at exactly that same time, Rona started to get really ill, and it came from nowhere. Over a 6-week period, she went from perfectly healthy to a physical wreck, you know. And I'll tell you what the symptoms were, so that if anybody else in the future who sees this gets these symptoms, you'll be more forceful with the doctors than we were. We were way too innocent, you know. So the first thing she started to get was joint pains, especially in her hands. Came from nowhere. The doctors told her that was arthritis, probably 40 years old. Then she started to get black eyes, huge black eyes, one eye really. A big pair of sunglasses wouldn't cover it. And she couldn't walk 100 yards. This is about 3 weeks into it, you know. So they did blood tests, and they found that she was profoundly anemic, their words, and that her blood wasn't clotting. Now you'd imagine even at that point, a doctor would think, perfectly healthy to that in 3 weeks, something's gone badly wrong here. But no, the worst symptom was chest pains, where at night she'd in bed, knees up to her chest, crying in pain, you know. And the doctors told her that was anxiety. So by about the 6th week, I thought, I'm coming down to this doctor's with you, you know, and I did, and I could not believe what I was hearing. It was like there was nothing wrong with her, you know. So we got her up to the hospital that afternoon. They admitted her immediately. Again, a stroke of luck, because the consultant just checked her over and said, I think I know what this is. Now, the consultant told me the chest pains were because her heart was so swollen, it was about to stop, and she would not have lasted another 24 hours, is what he told me, you know. And we took her in, and it turned out she had lupus, yeah. So the immune system disease often happens to women, sometimes can happen to men. For no reason, the immune system starts to attack healthy tissue, in Rona's case, heart and organs. Now, I'll say this, if you're diagnosed with this now or in the future, as long as you're diagnosed, you're going to be fine. It's obviously not a great thing to have. It's a lifelong illness, lifelong medication, but you're going to be okay, right? Rona's wasn't diagnosed, and it done a lot of damage, yeah? So over the subsequent years, she was hospitalised. She had to get chemotherapy to get her kidneys going again, all sorts of crap, you know? And at the same time, I'd been made redundant. So with 3 kids and this mortgage, the only way I could earn money was to work away from home, because there was no jobs at home that would do that. So I would do that when I could, short-term contract work where the pay's a bit higher, but there's no pension or holiday pay or anything like that. Sometimes I had to be at home, and I would be working in jobs that didn't cover the bills. So I'd be using the money from the working away jobs to subsidise the working at home jobs. At the same time, we were also trying to pay off the mortgage, because if the worst happened to Rona, and our recovery is by no means assured, consultants' words again, I would have to be home permanently working, you know. And this went on for 10 years. So at the end of that 10 years, thanks to a good consultant, Rona's health had started to improve. And I was in a job that, the kids had grown up, and I was in a job that was actually paying a pension at home. And I realised that if I worked in that job for the next 15 years, we're 50 at this point, 17 years now, because the pension age went up, we'd do okay. We wouldn't have had a great pension, but it would have been better than the way our grandparents had retired, which is all we ever expected, really, you know. And I just couldn't do it. Too much time gone. So I resigned and I went straight back to short-term contract working away from home. Now the plan was I was going to work every hour, every day that I could for 5 years and then put our head up and say, well, okay, what do we do now? The great thing was that because it was short-term contract working, in between contracts in that first 5 years, we jumped in the old motorbike I had, to put some luggage on it, me and Rona, and we travelled all around Europe. It was fantastic, you know. And I would say this, if anybody's worried about lupus, Rona has been around Europe multiple times on the back of a motorcycle with a tent, yeah. There's things you shouldn't do, you know, you shouldn't go out in the sun. Rona slaps on the factor 50, you know. If it's really bad, floppy hat. She's not allowed it to affect her at all. The one thing we do is sleep's important. So we're in bed at 9 o'clock at night. If you see our videos in Spade, you'll see us having a beer and cooking food during lunchtime and a couple of wines, all that sort of stuff. That's all we do. We don't go out at night at all. But that's positive as well, because we get up in the morning early and we're fresh and we go and do our stuff, you know. So, you know, everyone's got his advantages and disadvantages. Anyway, at the end of that 5 years, I wasn't ready to stop. I actually needed to do another couple of years, really. But there was a downturn in the industry. A couple of projects I was supposed to go on fell through. And eventually I thought, this is finished for me. 55 years old I was. What are we going to do now, you know? Well, we thought about starting up a business, but to be honest, Brexit kind of put paid to that. But again, COVID would have probably bankrupted us, you know? See the way we look at things. Silver linings, you know? So I'd remembered some years ago when I was in this job that was paying this pension. I only had it for 2 years, but the second year I got the information on it and the value had actually gone down. So I looked at the underlying assets and it was 2 rubbish funds I were invested in. And I remember thinking I could do better than that. And that stuck in my mind, you know. So I sat and I looked at the stock market for about a year, how pension companies invest, how financial advisors invest. And then I set up my own SIP, which is the easiest thing in the world to do. And I took all the money we'd saved and invested it in this SIP. And that's how we do it. I worked for 5 years solid, every hour, every day I could get, apart from the travelling in between, obviously. We'll forget about that, okay? And it's the only conscious decision that we made. Everything else was forced on us, yeah? But it paid off because although we live modestly at home, because we have to, we travel, we save to travel. And we're perfectly happy with that. What I've always loved is if you're a decent sort of person yourself, if you start a conversation here, within 3 sentences, you're having this conversation that's got no filters. You know, it's absolutely honest. I mean, that's what's valued here, these real human interactions. I mean, they don't like falseness and false bravado and bluster, you know. I mean, that's got to be a good thing, isn't it? And I've noticed that people from Campbeltown take that around the world. They're really, really good at engaging, you know, countries where people are different colours, different everything from us, you know. And they're really good at breaking down the barriers because they want to deal with people on a very human level. It's like they look at you and they go, yeah, I can see that you're different from me. I can see why you think you're different from me. But whatever relationship we're going to have or not have is going to be based on what I see in you, not what I see around you. Yeah? Go out looking on the basis that everybody's a potential friend rather than a potential enemy. That's maybe the best way to put it. So yeah, we're sad to leave again. The thing is, every time we come here, we feel like it's a reset. You know, when you think the world might be going mad, and you come down here and it's not like the world's not going mad. It's like here, nobody cares whether it is or not. So such is our life.
It's a hard life.
A beer at, 1:30 in the afternoon when everybody else is working, you know. Tough life, eh?
Tough life.
So back home. So great visit in Campbeltown.
Yep, really good.
One of the things we noticed that nobody has got their head in their phone.
No.
People are talking to each other. It was lovely, you know. But what it reminded us of is the other thing that carried us through these difficult years was the humour. Humour in the face of adversity, wasn't it, you know? So this is a different kind of video, and it's taken a while because I broke my toe and then had jury duty and so on, you know. Now, we started making videos. We mention this now and again because it would be our history and it would be better than a box of pictures, you know, for kids and great-grandkids and so on, you know, and to show how we lived, you know, in this day and age. But when people started to watch, we started to think, how can we make videos that are helpful? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing we know is camping, European touring, and spending part of the winter in Spain.
Yeah.
So that's what we've tried to do, isn't it? Make that type of video. But this is one of two videos we wanted to make because we hope they'll be helpful for a different reason, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the first one is lupus. Yeah. So you've had it for 25 years now, and we wanted to show the symptoms so people would recognise them and that life goes on, you know.
Oh, God, aye.
We met a couple from the UK who they lived in the UK, but they had a villa in Spain. The wife got lupus and they just stopped going, or she stopped going. You know, so it's nothing to fear, is it?
No.
Well, it helps that you're mental.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a good idea to go the way I go.
Maybe you're not a good example, you know. But genuinely, I think Campbeltown helped us because we've had some tough times.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying to me, "Oh, at least we had some laughs." You know? Do you know what I mean?
You've got to have a laugh.
Yeah. And the second reason we wanted to make this was to show how we had gained our financial freedom. So let me touch on that again, because it might help somebody along the way. I've actually got some notes here on my screen, that's why I keep looking over here. So we made the decision that we were not going to go down the route that was almost written in stone for people like us, which was work till we were 65, 67 now,
in our case,
and get some good years if you were lucky, you know. And that decision came from two things. The first one was Rona's close call made us realise that our life can change in an instant. Yeah. And our priorities changed.
Changed completely.
Absolutely changed. We realised how vulnerable we were, you know. Financially vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
Because we had nothing when you got ill and I got made redundant, you know. And now the second reason is that on our first trips on the motorcycle, we were always outside of the main holiday season, you know, which meant that everybody on the campsites, most people on the campsites tended to be much, much older than we were, weren't they? So we would meet people who had retired at 65 and spent 15 years touring and were now, of course, 80 plus years old. Smart, switched on people. I mean, the travelling keeps you young. Yeah. I mean, 100%, you know. But often they knew that their travels were starting to come to an end. The ailments and illnesses were starting to creep in. Often they were fitting in travel between hospital appointments, weren't they? And their advice to us was always, always that they did not regret a second of it and to do it as early as you can, weren't they?
Yeah.
Always.
Always, yeah.
We were only 50 and they're like, do it. Yeah. So effectively we brought these 15 years forward. We've had 15 years already and we're not 65 yet. Anything from here on in is a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it stopped now, what memories we would have.
Oh, God.
If it stopped today, what memories we'd have, you know?
Loads and loads of memories.
Now, we did have some advantages. The things that had been negatives in the previous 10 years suddenly became positives. This isn't a normal dynamic, by the way, me doing all the talking, is it?
No, I usually do.
It's because Rona's got no idea what I'm going to say here, you know?
Absolutely none.
Yeah. Anyway, these negatives have suddenly become positives. So while working away from home had been heartbreaking at times, now I had the contacts and the experience of that life to know I could go out and do it again, you know? We had no mortgage and no debt by this time, and we really, really knew how to budget. Yeah, 10 years down the line after your illness and me working away from home. Now, over the years, I've done a lot of planning and cost engineering and so on. I started off on the shop floor and ended up a project manager. And along the way, I learned quite a lot about these things. So I knew how to make things happen and how to do financial forecasts and things like that. Big advantage. But one of the main things was that the Pensions Freedom Act had come in just around the time we were wondering what to do next. Yeah, we'd saved some money and the industry had closed down. Now, that was mainly about final salary, gold-plated type pensions. But the very fact that the Pension Freedom Act was there caused me to look at it and see what opportunities there were, you know. So I'm sure MD financially minded will know that it's not possible for people like us to save enough money, capital, in 5 years to invest and provide a livable income. And that's correct. It's not possible. It wasn't possible for us. So what we are doing is living off a mix of income and deliberately running down the capital as well. Yeah. Now, the income that we'll lose by running down the capital will be replaced by our state pensions when they come in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, it's planned in such a way that there will still be enough capital invested to top up our state pension income to ensure that while we will not see a big increase in income when our state pensions come in, our income will not drop. It will remain the same, even accounting for inflation and so on, you know. Now, the advantages to that are we answer to no one. Yeah.
No.
And we are completely in charge of our own time. And we've had that 15 years.
Yeah.
Which has been phenomenal, you know. Even thinking about it is incredible, you know. So the disadvantages are, with no sudden influx of money in the future, like a pension lump sum, for example, it's unlikely we'll be able to replace our van. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But we knew that. We figured we'd get, say, 10 years minimum out of it. We've had 4, 6 to go.
Yep.
That will make us 70 years old. Yeah. We'll probably get more years out of the van. If we don't, we'll buy a second-hand GoPod or something like that.
Oh, well, we'll do something.
We'll be travelling as long as we're physically able.
Yeah.
We recently bought another second-hand motorcycle, and we've already been camping for a night with it for a tryout. But it was good fun, wasn't it?
Oh, aye.
Tiny little tent, you know.
Not using that again, though.
Well, no, we'll use a bigger tent we used to use, you know. But the thing is, you can't buy back time.
No.
Yeah. Another mantra is do it when you can, while you can. And we do not regret a second.
Not 1 second.
Of that last 15 years. No. I do not regret a second of it, you know. More to come.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so I hope that was understandable, that, you know, we're trading wealth in later years for money now to be able to do what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as I said in the video earlier, we pay our taxes, we claim no benefits, we take nothing from anybody, you know, and we do our own thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's been okay. Now, the second of the 2 videos I really wanted to make, even if nobody's that interested, because they might help somebody. The second one is how we budget for these trips. Yeah. We couldn't do it without budgeting.
No.
We budgeting has enabled our lives, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Everything. We learned how to do it when you were ill and I was made redundant. We carried it all through these years. Budgeting for us, or for me, is not about penny pinching or trying to stretch out income. It's about freeing up money to do the things you want to do. Now, if you've got loads of money coming in, it's not going to matter, is it? But for us, it's kind of, we can't turn around and go, oh, there's that amount of money sitting there to take a trip. We can't do that. We have to figure it out, you know. So in the next video, we'll talk just a little bit about how we do it generally, but much more about how we plan and budget for a trip a year ahead, 2 years ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the things we budget for, and indeed what it costs us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've got all these records. We know exactly what it costs. For example, long staying in Spain in the winter, costs X amount. Touring in the spring or whatever, it costs roughly twice as much for us, you know. In fact,
we're not more than that.
It roughly is about twice as much, you know. There's various reasons for that, but we'll look at both of them, touring and long staying in Spain. The thing is, if there's people out there think they can't do it, that it's ridiculously expensive to go and spend 2 months in Spain, I want to show it is possible, you know. It definitely, you know, you may think you can't, but there's a strong chance you can. Yeah. Right, so I think that'll do us for now.
Yep.
It's been a long time since the last video, but we'll try and do the next one a bit quicker. We'll do that budgeting one, and then we're off to Spain again for a couple of months again. And in that video, we'll look at the same things we've always looked at, the little things that work for us and haven't worked for us, and may save people a little bit of time, you know. Yeah. All right, and so we are saying hi to Cleo, Charlie, Joey, and Olive. Yep. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.